Hello, Tanya here from myslope.com, here with a sewing tutorial for the open back leotard pattern. So first off, we're going to cut out our pieces. So I have my two front and back in my lining and main fabric, and I have my 4 back pieces, so 2 in my main, 2 in my lining fabric. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to sew those center back seams together, and we're going to conceal them between the lining and the main fabric. So I'm putting my main fabric right sides together, and then I'm going to essentially sandwich my lining. So I have 2 of my lining pieces next to underneath both of my main fabric pieces. So I guess not so much a sandwich, but yeah. So we're going to pin that center back seam, and then as you can see, when I unfold it, that seam is going to be nicely concealed. There you go. See? Nice and concealed, professional finish. Everything is locked in place. So let's sew that baby up. All right, now that we have that center back seam sewed into place, it's nice and concealed and locked in, we are going to sew all our main seams. Now we're going to apply the same sandwiching technique, which is going to go, front piece, front piece, and it's going to go main fabric, lining, lining. So we see that we have our lining, back, front, main, lining. So we have our side seam we're pinned together. Sorry, our gusset pinned together, side seam pinned together, and shoulder pinned together. And then our 2 open back pieces, we're just going to leave those for now. So sew everything up. All right, now that we sewed all those main seams, we are going to flip everything out right side. So we're going to see that all of those seams that we just sewed are going to be nice and concealed in the inside and have a really nice professional finish. And then after that, we are going to go leg hole, armhole, back opening, and then our neck. So we're going to sew elastic onto the wrong side of our fabric, onto all of our holes. And then after that, we're going to fold it over and tack it down, but super simple. So leg hole, elastic, armhole, elastic, open back, elastic. And make sure, like I said, that we're sewing the elastic onto the wrong side. So I'm using an elastic foot, and I'm just increasing the tension for when I sew the elastic around my leg holes. I don't increase the tension by too much, but I'm increasing it by a bit so we can have a little bit more tension, a little bit security in those leg holes. The tighter you make it, the more that is going to be locked into place. All right, now we sewed all our elastic onto the wrong side. We are going to prepare to tack it down and do some fold over elastic action. So I'm going to turn everything right side out. And you can see I'm folding over the elastic to demonstrate how we will be tacking her down off to the sewing machine. Oh, I'm just finishing those edges for the open back. As you can see, that final edge, we'll need that later. So just to clean that up. All right, so tacking that elastic down. Here's one angle. Fold it over. Nice and clean. Folding it over. Then we're gonna slip it under the presser foot. I have a lead fabric there to make sure that it catches. So good tip. And we're just sewing. Essentially, we're lining up the edge of our fabric with, we caught everything with basically the right needle. So we're really catching it. There's a little line on the presser foot. I line up the edge of my fabric with that. if you're using, because I'm using 1/4 inch elastic, if you're using longer elastic, you have to flip over, and then you see how I have tape there? You can gauge how far in the presser foot you need to be. Okay, now our final step is we're gonna do those back clasps, those back enclosures. So trim those fabrics to make it look nicer. Here are my 2 clasps, the ones that I'm using. I'm making sure that I know the orientation before I sew it in. We don't want to sew it in the wrong way. So I'm disconnecting, I'm gonna put them down, same orientation. I'm going to slide in my strap, going from the outside in, folding it over. And so we sewed that seam before so it has a nice clean finish. I'm just gonna pin that down. So starting from the outside of the clasp, in, folding it over, and then we're just making sure that it works, because we don't want to sew that on and then it doesn't attach. So now we're gonna head over to the sewing machine. The one machine I honestly hate. Hasn't died yet on me though, but it's not the best. Anyways, we're gonna just tack it down, sew a straight seam on that seam. As you can see, I tacked it down. Nice straight seam. It actually looks pretty decent. I'm not that great with my sewing machine, so I'm happy with that. And I'm just gonna clasp it together. Yes, and we're done. All the seams are finished. There she is. Beautiful open back. All right, so this is the final look, and try the open back leotard pattern. And the link is below to the pattern and block shop. And as always, I'd love to see what you guys make. So when you sew it up, please share your makes with us.